time is still the big scarce item. So our customers perceive time as their most precious and valuable resource. So the fact that they could install it, they could install half the stuff we put in now, but they choose not to. They just don't want to screw around with it. They want one wringable neck. And it just gives us, to me, more things to support and more things to be responsible for recommending in the home. So if we're really, truly placing ourselves as a home technology concierge, as a service-minded partner, this is a welcome signal that we're seeing.
I believe every word that man just said, because it's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Why you should be going to Denver for CEDIA Expo, how Ikea is stitching together the smart home with Matter, and progress payment policy practices. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek. This is ResiWeek, episode 492, Time is Money. This is ResiWeek, your weekly wrap-up for all the latest news and stories for the residential side of the AV industry. I am your host. I'm not Matt Scott. I'm not even Tim Albright. I am the humble producer of AVNation, Mitchell Tulin, and I had to admit I'm not that versed. I only I've sit here for a couple of years watching the people, but in order to make up for my shortcomings, it's not a high joke, I have some expert panel guests here, starting with Katye McGregor-Bennett from KMB Communications. How are you doing?
I am doing well, sir. It's lovely to have you hosting for a change. I mean, I feel like we're going to give Matt and Tim a run for their money, and they might be out of a hosting job here after this show. I'm pretty confident.
No, don't say that. Steve Greenblatt from State of Control has been asking for years now, just like, when are you going to show up on the show? And I go, I don't know anything about coding, like, at all. I can fumble my way through this. Also joining us this week is Henry Clifford from Livewire. Good to see you.
What's up, Mitch? I'm voting for you, sir. Mitch 2028. Let's go.
Mitch for host 2028.
I appreciate your confidence. Let's jump right into it. Coming from CE Pro, CEDIA Expo / Commercial Integrator Expo offers a world of opportunities if you are in the residential space and living under a rock. CEDIA Expo is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, trade show for the residential side. This is probably the third year of Commercial Integrator Expo coming in on its heels. This time it's taking place September 3rd through 5th in Denver as usual. Katye, I'll just start off with you because, like I said, if you're living under a rock somehow and didn't know about this thing, why go? I would say we're off the heels. I feel like I'm just barely recovering off of Infocom now in the trade show like menagerie. So what makes this one different from something like that?
Well, first of all, slight date change, 4th, 5th, and 6th. That's why I exited stage left and came back. I'm like, wait a second. Do I have the dates wrong? It's 4th, 5th, and 6th September.
They need to update that article.
Yeah,
that's
I know. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So that's it. The CEDIA is the one outlier show that carries over to Saturday. So, anywho, so it's actually ramping up to be quite a show. I'm extra energized. I had a quick meeting with the CEDIA team yesterday, specifically on the design build side, which, is a big thing for me. And they have really ramped up their programming and the attendance. There's going to be like 2 days of designer attendance as opposed to one full day of the day of discovery. So lots of education and programming being done for those. They're doing tours and then taking those tour groups up to relevant booths right away and then going back and doing talks and relevant tours. So it's a slightly different program there, and that's on the day of discovery side. Bunch of cool stuff going on there, but just a lot of powerhouse programming being set up under the CEDIA education sessions as well. Henry, I could have sworn I saw you on at least a panel or two. I could be wrong about that, but lots of really great insights and talent being teed up there. On the KMB side, we're getting clients prepped already, which is just crazy. It's middle of July and we're knee deep in it, but it's going to be a good time in Denver. I'm already getting pretty excited about it, as you can guess. Henry, you're going, right? You're going for the duration? I'm
excited. I'll be there. Let's see. I think I'm getting there Wednesday, going home Saturday. And every year, I think I started going, 15 plus years ago. And I went to my first CEDIA and didn't know a soul. And now I just feel like it's walking into one huge family gathering. And it's just awesome. You see folks, you meet new people, what an intense 3-4 days. All the manufacturers are there. All the smartest people in the room are there. So there's insane learning opportunities, insane opportunities to connect. So the after hours is always amazing. Our CEDIA peer group meets in person once a year at CEDIA Expo. I think the commercial integrator piece is nice. A lot of Resi integrators have taken on commercial, and maybe they were doing it from the beginning. Maybe they added commercial during COVID or for whatever reason. But for now, for the most part, integrators are participating in the commercial space in one way, shape, or form. It's very unusual to find a pure play Resi integrator that's not doing some kind of commercial work. So I think the Commercial Integrator Expo is a great way to, again, make good use of that time. I mean, you think about it, how many 3-4 day periods a week do you get in a year to travel, right? If you got CEDIA Expo, maybe you've got a buying group show, so you got your fall season booked. Maybe you've got the CE Pro, that CE
Total
Pro
Tech Summit.
That Total Tech Summit. You've got a spring, probably a spring show or two to go to. I can just feel the domestic tranquility meter spiking north from that. So I think it's a nice and smart move to co-locate. You're just making good use of time. You're going to be there anyway. Might as well double up on the learning. And I know Total Tech Summit kind of does the same thing as well. So I think it's a good move. I understand why they're doing it, but it also makes a lot of sense too, just from a straight up, use of time perspective.
I think too, and there's this. It's funny because I don't think it quite has reached the same level of don't ever say this phrase ever again, but resimercial. There still is such a big opportunity in resimercial, and for those who are just toeing into it and doing boardrooms and corporate based on residential clients who are providing those opportunities, or those who are growing their business through commercial. And Henry, our friend Heather Sidorowicz, she went from very little to 100% commercial over the last 5-6 years. That's huge. And she's not the only one that's doing that. So an event like this that's co-located that provides both opportunities under one roof, I think it's really needed. The other thing is that Infocom is so big that, like you see at ISE, like you see at Infocom, it can be hard to get into some of the bigger brand booths because just the foot traffic. CEDIA Expo, CI Expo gives you a little bit more of an opportunity to get in and spend some quality time with those big brands and establish your brand with those brands as well, which is, let's face it, that's part of the reason that you're going, not just to absorb, but to also deliver your message and make sure that you're securing the business that you need. So I think, it's a much more intimate opportunity to establish those relationships or deepen the relationships that you need to in order to move ahead next year. It's kind of that, right before the fall to do a little bit more strategy, tactical work, and then ease into the holidays after that. Not that any of us really get to ease into the holidays. Sounds good. Never happens. Mitch, are you going?
I do not believe I am going right now, personally, but
Okay.
I'm sure that we'll have something CD or on AVNation coverage wise. So for the CD or CIX portion of it, and Henry, I'll kind of direct this towards you. Is it more on the side of we want residential people checking out the commercial side, or is it the other way of like commercial people, hey, look at this residential side, or is it a little bit of both?
I mean, I'd love to say in some dream state that commercial integrators are out there like knocking down the door to do resi work, but I never hear that. Like all I ever hear is commercial integrators in general, especially the pure play Avixa guys, gals will say, I kind of like it. We'll do resi, but we'll do it reluctantly. I really see it more as a way to cater to that resi CI community. And because if you look at the Avixa community, you'll have, and they call the people that cross over, that's literally what they call it. They call them, oh yeah, we've got a few of you guys, like crossover people. And there's not as many as you think, right? If you go to Infocom versus, so there's a few, but I think it's a good gateway to kind of get into that place, because as Katie said, I mean, if you're not in your business, if you don't have some kind of huddle space, small conference room, large conference room, boardroom, if you're not thinking about like businesses as like, hey, you know what? They need Wi-Fi, they need access control, they need security, they need video surveillance. Like there are all these things that like small, medium business that don't have dedicated IT directors. And but guess what? They're owned by the people who you did their house. So if you can get them to take you to work, you could double your business. The commercial market in whatever your market is, it's probably 10 to 15 times larger than the resi market. So it's like, and you can be much more selective. So if you just looked at your resi business and said, okay, what if I wanted to double it without having to open another store, which is what we did, and you use that back of the envelope metric to say, well, commercial is probably 10 to 15 times larger, then you can be super selective. That means you can go to a carve out a slice like we did, $5 to $50 million business, $5 to $50 million top line. These are very active business owners in the organization. They're going to probably bring you along. They're going to bring you along too late in the project, just like we get pulled in resi sometimes. And they're not used to getting the level of service and high touch that we're used to delivering in high net worth, wealthy Lux. So you're still delivering that same level of service. You stand out like a sore thumb in a really good way in the commercial space, and people start to go, whoa, this is pretty cool. And you can unseat an incumbent who is maybe delivering more of a McDonald's type experience just by being just by being the CI integrator that you are.
Oh, well, looking forward to that coming in September. Speaking of the McDonald's, that's mean to Ikea. This is coming from The Verge. Ikea is stitching together a smart home. They're adopting the smart home standard Matter for the products they have. To quote the article, with plans to launch more than 20 Matter over Thread devices, Ikea is embracing Matter in a move to make its smart home simpler and more affordable. To me, a layman, hearing interoperability and ease of access kind of, to me, means more DIY stuff. Part of the appeal of stuff like the Google Assistant and the Amazon lady we won't say just so we don't wake her up, is that, you give it to someone, they can put it to themselves. The integrator is the whole point of that is that they install it. So Henry, how does the integrator get involved in this kind of space? I
think I agree to a degree, Mitch, on that one. The other way I think that I might look at something like this is closed versus open, right? It's DIY in the way that something that has Ethernet or Wi-Fi is DIY. Or is it, right? Those just happen to be universal standards versus if you look at buzzwords over the last 25 years, Zigbee, UPB, X10, PLC, like all these little walled garden technologies that some of them worked, some of them were kind of clunky, but none of them really broke out, right? And so you're seeing, I think, Matter emerge as something where it's reducing friction. And a perfect point is like if you see someone and they're like selling a home, and then you think about what are the things that they need to do in terms of changing dealer of record or registration or something when they're selling a home. Like lighting control is probably a good example. If you have a Lutron lighting control system, you have to do something to change that controller around. Like that's friction, right? You can't just move in and it just works. So everything you have to do that's in the way of that moving in and it just works. Like what if you moved in and the refrigerator had to be re-registered to you, or the oven, or, so this is what our industry is. We've done this to ourselves. We're like, yeah, of course you've got to but to a homeowner, that's friction. To them, they just go, this is dumb. So Matter, I think when you see Matter enabled bulbs or thermostats or whatever the tech is, whatever this, the shortwave, radio technology is, it just enables, I think, less friction, which raises awareness, which raises Net Promoter Score, which, by the way, Net Promoter Score on like installed like home control systems is like, it's like a 2. I mean, it's so low. It's really, really bad. So something like Matter that promises to make the crooked straight and the rough places plain, all it's going to do is make folks happier. Now, that means more tech. And then time is still the big scarce item. So our customers perceive time as their most precious and valuable resource. So the fact that they could install it, they could install half the stuff we put in now, but they choose not to. They just don't want to screw around with it. They want one wringable neck. And it just gives us, to me, more things to support and more things to be responsible for recommending in the home. So if we're really, truly placing ourselves as a home technology concierge, as a service-minded partner, this is a welcome signal that we're seeing Matter being adopted finally as a standard into the home. So we could take it as a DIY threat, but I look at it more as like it's just tremendous opportunity.
I agree, and I appreciate that explanation, Henry. Because this has been a topic a number of times on ResiWeek, and I think you and we've been on this topic a number of times on ResiWeek. But I think it's interesting because in the channel we tend to be very protective of what we do, and if it didn't come from the channel, then it can't be for the channel. And how could we possibly embrace it in the channel? And over the years, I have been in that camp, but I've also kicked myself out because I've been watching the piece of our pie shrink for no real apparent reason other than what you distilled down to. And it's just the consumer respect for technology and the net promoter score. I mean, it's true. And there's almost not a day that goes by when I get out of my bubble and go and interact with humans who don't do what we do. Their appreciation for technology is significantly low. Even though it's pervasive and it plays a role in their day-to-day lives, it's just not a happy experience. So when we come in the door thinking that we're bringing these wonderful solutions because it's for integration channel by the integration community and it's wonderful, it just creates friction because they're like, you know what, I already hate the thing that I have that's called an iPhone. And if I could just not even have this in my life, this would be great. How many times have we heard that? And so it makes all of the things that we do in the channel a little harder to sell. So these brands or these technologies that open the door wider, I think we really have to, as a community, we have to embrace it and figure out how to make it part of the conversation. Whether you support and install it is not where I'm going with this, but you got to be able to have the conversation so that you can shift the narrative away from that to what you do. You just got to be really good at selling what you do in such a differentiated manner that these other offerings that create less friction don't introduce. Then it's just a battle of words and wits. And I kind of think we know how all that ends. So I think from this, I say, this is a time when we need to start taking a look at these things. And again, whether we embrace and sell them or not, but we have to be strong in the conversation, because if we're not, we're losing an audience that we don't even have a chance to sell anything to.
Last week, I believe we were talking about smart TVs, and the topic was almost kind of in the same way of, I think Matt even said it himself, is like, at some point, I just think I want to give up and just get like a commercial TV that has one input and that's it. And I feel like with the way that you, Henry, were talking about like the registering your fridge, I was like, I can just see the people who are just like, I actually want a dumber home, if that's the case. So I can't see the point of an integrator saying, no, well, because it is frustrating. New technology can be sometimes. And that's, I think, where the integrators can come in and show like, hey, this can be good. You just got to have somebody who can put it in and then make it all work. All right. Let's move on to our next story from D-Tools itself. Best practices for establishing a viable progress payment policy, which is a whole lot of P's. This friend of the channel, Jason Knott, had a hand in this. I was also from D-Tools. To make a quote from an excerpt, a well-structured progress payment policy isn't just good practice, it's essential for survival. Which sounds kind of drastic if I had to say so, but I kind of see where they're coming from. The whole, a project's lifeblood is getting the payment through and having that. So they have about 10 good practices to really get that through from stuff, not just, you're kind of like cover your bases and all that things, but payment phases and which ones work and which ones are like the ideal ones. It's a really good article. Matt would say, go read the article. So my experience with this is less of an actual AV project. Usually mine are like when I write a story and I have art that needs to be made, I, have a commission, and that's pretty much like an upfront payment. Here's the thing, here's that. That's only a couple $100. These projects are probably a little more than that, I assume. So this is probably where those payment projects are important. But Henry, what from this article, like, what should integrators be taking from it? Like the big key points.
Yeah, great question, Mitch. It's interesting. So reading this, we have a document like this at Livewire, and it just spells out, the different types of projects. And it's funny, over time, it tends to grow like weeds, right? Because you end up with all these different project types and weirdo payment terms that customers ask for. But I really like this article. So I actually reached out internally to our office. I was like, hey, check out this article. It's a good read. And then my COO was like, yeah, D-Tools just rolled this out inside the software like the day before. So I thought that was really cool. And to me, that demonstrates like they're listening to the vertical a little bit. So we've never had software that will just do progress payments in the right way. We've always had to sort of turducken our way into it. QuickBooks doesn't do it that well. I mean, it sort of does, but to have a piece of software that actually like is saying, yeah, we understand the progress payment world. We understand that you got a 3-year job and it's maybe a $700,000 job, and the payments need to be structured this way. I think it's tremendous. So good for D-Tools. Thank you, guys. We're already using it and benefiting from it. So I think it's great. I think the article reads well, and certainly if you don't have a documented payment policy, your sales team is just going to make it up and make you mad. So you may as well just go ahead and document it.
Katye, same kind of question. Is there anything big from this story that like you say like with a highlighter of like, this is the important thing you need to focus on?
Well, I think all of it. I say that jokingly, but there's in one of the quotes on here. So Emily Morgan and Jason Sand contributed to this article, guys. So some of the background intelligence that brought this to the forefront, but it is now available in D-Tools. But I think Jason says, base your invoicing on project time and complexity. And I think, strip everything else away. And if there are some baseline nuggets to run with, absolutely look at your pricing and your invoicing and your project timelines and make sure that you are getting paid in accordance with when you need to procure your products, when you need to pay your people, when you've got other big bills that are due, those sorts of things. And I think, it's as business owners, many of whom got into the business by being an integrator who enjoyed it, or an opportunity arose that either required or provided them the opportunity to create their own firm. A lot of these sort of basic business essentials may never have been taught or learned. And so to have a forward-thinking platform and offering like D-Tools that's thinking ahead, that's commendable. But I think also too is it's indicative of the way that the integration community and the way that business is being done has evolved, and taking cues from other verticals outside. How are they finding success? How are they, and bringing that intelligence in at a platform level to create that foundation of potential success for the integration community. And I think, that's really what these types of articles are bringing to the surface. Obviously, they're showcasing their capabilities, but these are things that we need to be thinking about to run a successful business.
Another thing that I thought was good in that article was talking about covering your costs. Just knowing that you might get strung out over that retainage due to systems needing punch outs, done. I mean, I think there's 2 or 3 jobs I can think of where we're probably still, owed 10, 20, 30 grand or something on it. And it's just like, what happened there, guys? And if you're an integrator and you're watching this and you're like, that never happened to us. Like, I'm not saying it will, but if you're around this thing long enough, you'll have a job that goes sideways. And if you structure it, if you're super, like, because I hear all these you can pay me when you're done. Not smart. Like collect,
Just say no.
collect, or buy low, sell high, collect early, pay late.
At least one time in my life, I'd like to say, I'm good for it. Like, it's like the same thing of getting into a taxi and going, follow that car. These are lines I want to say in my life, but I understand. To quote a different person, Uncle Richie, brother's got to get paid. So that's all right. This was really great. Thank you guys for taking us through this. Really just carrying me.
We got you, Mitch, but you carry us every time we're on, so it's the least we can do.
I prefer being in the background if you don't mind, but this is still a great time. So, Katye, where can we find you or K&B Communications?
All over the sphere. Just look for K&B Communications. We're the one with the mountain in our logo, or look for me, Katye McGregor-Bennett, Katye. That's how you know it's me. Wait, that just rhymes.
All right.
Sorry.
Get that on a t-shirt. Thank you so much. Henry, how can we find you and Livewire and maybe get Livewire? I don't know. Yeah.
I think our handle's the same across all the tubes of the interwebs, at Get Livewire. And, I'm around. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at CEDIA Expo.
Thank you so much. Yeah, for me, you can find me on LinkedIn technically. I write things, but it's mostly fantasy stuff. So if you really want that, you can message me and I'll get you like a PDF or something, a nice novel. But really, instead, go check out AVNation.tv, all our shows and our social stuff. We have we just had a Women in AV episode with Michelle Lorette, which was a really fun one to watch through. Other stuff like State of Control, it talks about the control programming, AVWeek, which is the commercial version of this show, and so much more. And while you're there, check out our sponsors and site. They help us a lot and let us have shows like this. That should be all that we have for ResiWeek. Thank you for watching.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Hello, this is Steve Greenblatt, host of AVNation's A State of Control podcast. Each month, Rich Fregosa and I explore trending topics related to control programming and automation in the audiovisual industry. We speak with a variety of AV professionals who share their perspectives, knowledge, and experiences. Please join us for this monthly conversation. Check out A State of Control on avnation.tv or wherever you get your podcasts.